about poverty cycles in business, and you and John are wondering what I'm talking about, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay, I'm Paula Williams.
I'm John Williams.
And we are ABCI, and ABCI's mission is
to help all you ladies and gents out there in the aviation world sell more of your products and services.
Absolutely. So you've probably heard of the poverty cycle if you are at all interested in economics or... But there's a thing called a poverty cycle. And what that is it's not necessarily deliberate, but is certainly insidious. Basically, if you are a low-income individual, then a lot of things in the economy are set up against you. So you go buy a $1,000 car, and you have to get to work, and you have to get home with this $1,000 car, and it's got a bunch of things wrong with it, and so you keep pouring money into this $1,000 car to keep it running. You don't have a lot of income, so you're buying toilet paper 2 rolls at a time, and so you're constantly running out of necessities in your life and your world and everything else, right?
Trying to drive your $1,000 car to go get them.
Drive your $1,000 car to go get another roll of toilet paper. And it's just kind of a cycle of crises that you're setting up because you're in a situation that just perpetuates itself because of the way the economy is set up to work.
So what are you trying to say? That businesses are the same way?
I'm trying to say that the same thing can happen to a business, or especially a small business. Small to medium-sized businesses sometimes fall into this same trap where they are doing things one thing at a time. They're doing short-sighted things instead of buying a new car with a warranty that's going to be dependable and reliable and driving to Costco with your car that is reliable and dependable and buying a case of toilet paper, right?
You've actually lived this.
I have. You know this. I was a single mom for a long time. There was a while where I was fighting this cycle, and there are ways to get out of it, whether you are a human being or whether you're a business, right?
True.
I mean, we are all human beings, whether or not you're in a business.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about 3 things, right? There are 3 things that are keeping you small if you are, or keeping you in a low income situation if you're in a low income situation. One is being unwilling to invest in yourself or your people, right? You want to pay for a good education and you want to pour everything you got into that education. Our business actually started when I think you thought I was nuts because I was, in a situation where I was not doing all that well financially. And I'm like, I'm going to spend $3,000 on this seminar and go to Cleveland. And, Dan Kennedy, who is one of the gurus in copywriting, which is what my business was going to be about, is going to be speaking at this seminar. And it's a week long and I need to stay in a hotel and I'm going to do all of these things and I'm going to spend this money that I barely have. In fact, I think I put part of it on credit cards and everything else. And you're like, are you out of your mind?
Did not say that.
No, you did not. You were actually very supportive of this whole thing. But sometimes you have to take a risk and you have to invest in yourself and invest in a good education. Another situation is my son Mickey is a tutor. And, so he's starting his tutoring business. There's a guy in England who has this workshop that is just for online tutors. And, so it's very specific and he has a really good program that had really good reviews. Mickey had been looking at it for weeks and talking about how this is a lot of money, Mom. I don't know if I should do this, but, he's talking exactly about the problems that I'm having and he's done exactly what I want to be able to do. So, what I told him and it's what I told myself, many, many years ago, and that is, the worst thing that you could do is spend the money on it and then don't follow through. If you're going to do it, do the heck out of it. If you're going to spend the money, then go to every class, read every book, study everything, take notes on every thing anybody says.
If you know yourself, then you should have no problem betting on yourself.
Exactly. So, you don't want to throw money at classes that you're not going to take, that you don't have time for.
Or not going to use.
Or that you're not going to use. But if you find a good program that is exactly solving the problems that you need to solve, then by all means, put some money into it and pour your time and energy and everything else into learning that material.
I've never lost when I bet on myself.
Good. Neither have I.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I'm being serious.
Yeah, me too. So, thing number one, be willing to invest in yourself or in your people. In a lot of cases with businesses, it's also you have somebody who is great at this, but they don't know how to do that, or they keep screwing something up, or whatever. They just don't get a thing. Do what you need to do to help them get that thing, or that skill, or that whatever it is that needs to be done. Okay. Number 2 is economizing on the wrong things. Okay. So you don't want to skimp on advertising or marketing, right?
No, particularly when the economy's down.
Yeah.
Which is what everybody does.
Right?
Well, not everybody, but the majority of people think that's okay.
Right. Because, it is an easier psychological move to cut a monthly bill that you don't see a return from for, 90 days or 6 months or whatever your sales cycle is. And you think, oh, we can skate for a little bit on, doing a little bit less advertising or a little bit less marketing. And I would rather do that than cut payroll, which is painful and psychologically hard because we all love our people and we want to keep them and we want to keep them happy. But cutting advertising means you're just going to be making those painful decisions later. You're just putting them off and they're going to be worse.
And just so you know,
mm-hmm.
we follow our own advice.
We do.
We increase marketing when the economy's down.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't regretted it.
Right. And every new client we get, we make a new investment in marketing mm-hmm. or software or a new ad in a new publication or something. There's always something that we are increasing. Because what you want to do, and this sounds counterintuitive, but this is a thing I got from that Dan Kennedy workshop that I spent so much money on, and it's turned out to be absolutely true. You want to spend more money than your competitors are spending. They can't follow you where they can't go, right?
Well, and to that end, every time we get a new package, a new software, mm-hmm. a new anything, it's available to our clients. Mm-hmm. And we test it first, of course, but then when you join the marketing lab, it's available, and mm-hmm. we help and show you how to do it.
Right. And that's the other thing, is you don't want to spend money on software that you're not going to use, of course. We've got clients that spend a ton of money on Salesforce or, some CRM, and they use 1/10 of what that software does.
Or it's just there and they don't use it at all.
Exactly. So, if you could make your way with lesser software, that's fine. But if you need something, by all means, make the investment.
If you bought it, make sure you use it to its fullest extent possible.
Right. So take the time to learn it and use the heck out of it. And which kind of leads us into number 3. Do less, but do it better. So, mm-hmm. You may want to buy less software, but you want to use that software to the extent of its capability. So, if you're working with us and you're using Basecamp, invite all of your team into Basecamp and use its project management capabilities, use its file storing capabilities. Don't be buying Dropbox when you've got Basecamp,
Exactly.
So use less software, but use it better, right?
And if you join us, mm-hmm. at least in a marketing lab, you have more things at your disposal than we could ever get for one client.
Right. And, to that end, do less but do it better. Another example of that is to do fewer shows, fewer trade shows, fewer conventions, fewer things like that, because those are incredibly expensive. But the ones that you do, you want to do the heck out of them.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're going to a show, then host a breakfast, book yourself out with a lot of meetings, do press releases, take advantage of every opportunity that show offers you, but just don't do as many shows.
We do NBAA once a year.
Mm-hmm. And we sometimes
she does exactly what she said.
Right. And we sometimes do HAI, Hella Expo. So, we don't go to every show there is. We just don't have time. And we also don't have the money, and we don't want to spend the money. We'd rather spend the money on other things.
There are something like 200 plus different trade shows in aviation alone,
right,
across the globe.
Yeah. And there's a million different places that you could advertise. So, you want to pick those carefully, and you want to do that very, very well. And if you're doing a monthly ad, you want to change your monthly ad every month, to something that is, that you're getting a better response for. You want to be monitoring your responses to all of the marketing that you're doing, increasing the things that are showing a good result, decreasing the things that don't, but you want to redirect that money into the good stuff, right?
Of course.
Okay, so 3 things. Be willing to invest in yourself and your people. 2, don't economize on the wrong things, right? And number 3, do less, but do it better.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So that whole cycle is breakable.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, we're both proof of that, right? Mm-hmm. Neither one of us was born with a silver spoon in our mouths. And, our business certainly didn't come from nowhere, and it did come from nowhere. It didn't come from venture capital or anything big like that.
We didn't want that's a whole different story. But we did not use venture capital.
Exactly. We didn't have monster investors or anything like that. We did it ourselves. And we're pretty proud of that.
Okay.
Right. So there's nothing to be ashamed of about remembering your roots. But you sure as heck don't want to stay there. So, you want to make sure that you break that cycle.
Right.
Absolutely. Have a great week.
See you next time.